The woods has seen a substantial expansion in the last patch. Before, woods really wasn't much at all to begin with. You really just went there for quests and that was about it. But with the 12.9 expansion, it has become a pretty good loot hole, at least for me. And today, in this video, I'm going to be showing you all the different locations and what they have to offer in loot. So watch until the end of the video and you guys should know a lot of the new expansion areas and what loot resides there. I'm going to go over pretty in detail each location and stashes for woods. I'll have a video coming out for them shortly after this one. So starting out with Prop Wars Camp, you actually have to go here for a quest. This is a pretty good area for weapon attachments and other things. You've got a couple weapon boxes and mechanical boxes laying around the area, which have pretty good loot drops overall. As you guys can see, I'm finding quite a bit of weapon attachments ranging from suppressors to muzzle brakes to sights. It's really good for passive income and if you need any attachments for any of the mechanic quests. So in here we have a ration supply crate. This is a pretty good way to get your Jaeger quests done. I find running these supply ration crates pretty effective in getting these quests done. Here on the table, we also have a medical spawn and another ration spawn. Nothing too great here, really. I've found Suelas, so if you're still stuck on that quest somehow, in this wipe, that's a pretty good spot to check out. Moving on to the other side of the camp, we have a weapon box and we have another table for attachments. Like I said, the attachments, sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. It's a good place to get attachments though, whenever they do seem there. Also, not to mention, this is a very active spot in the map and you're really going to be fighting over this pretty early on if it's not already looted. And what I just showed you to the right is a minefield, so do not go around that way. If anything, go around the rocks and take the path to the hard right of this whole camp and you'll be able to avoid all of them. Moving on to the tent area, we have more weapon attachments and we have another weapons box. Just basically a lot of suppressors, really, from what I've found, a lot of sights. It's a good way to get just random attachments, like I said. It's not too bad of a spot, really. In this corner here underneath this rock, there is a trooper vest spawn. I've only had it spawn for me twice, and I've been playing Woods expansion quite a bit. And then we have that last weapon box. And I believe there's a rare spawn on this bed. If I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw an ornament drop there, but I could be wrong. Just keep an eye out for that spot. Right underneath USEC camp, we have Prop Wars Camp, and really this just has one technical supply crate, but the technical supply crates are very detrimental for getting quests done. This is one of the easiest ways to find loose items you need for any quest that you have. Moving on to the next location, I like to call it Blue Trailers. This has a couple of good spawns, and we'll go into detail. So first, we're going to be going into this lower trailer. It has a ration spawn, and that's about it, really. We're going to be moving up now into the second building that is pretty much right on top. Right below it is a ration crate. Like I said, good for Jaeger quests. Right above, we have another ration spawn and a duffel bag. I have seen rare spawns on that bed before, but it's very rare. Next spot is this trailer that's kind of out from the rest of the trailers. We have a grenade box and we have a small weapon box here. Nothing too great. Blue Trailers is kind of a mediocre spot, but there still are some things you should probably check out. Moving on to a very interesting location. I like to call this the antenna bunker. We have a couple ration spawns out on these, I guess you could call cement blocks. We have a grenade spawn there, and there's also a pack of spawn here. I've seen this spawn a handful of times in raid, but we have a weapons box. And going into the bunkers where we get some of the better loot, we have a duffel bag coming up right in the front. Going in deeper into the bunker, we have a couple military spawns with bulbs, and bulbs right now are a hard to get thing, especially with people trying to upgrade their hideout. Military spawns in this bunker are kind of scarce, but they're still there, so I would check them out. Moving into the next area, we have another duffel bag, and we have a rare spawn on this bed. This bed has a multitude of things. You can find lions, you can find ornaments, you can find gold chains. I've seen all of that different stuff. And also there's a little cheeky jacket in the back right there. Make sure you guys hit that, because not very many people see it because it's in the dark. Moving on to one of my favorite locations in the Woods expansion is the Sunken Village. Now, the Sunken Village has a lot to offer here. We have a bunch of toolboxes on the ground, and inside some of these buildings are some pretty good loot spawns. And seeing in here, we have a couple of rare spawns on these beds, and we have a lot of ammo spawns up on these crates. I've seen a rare spawn over in this back right corner. However, it's very rare. Other than that, there's going to be a couple fuel spawns in this location that I'm going to be showing you. There's also a marked circle coming up here. There's just a lot of good loot here, especially whenever, you know, people typically avoid the high loot items. Here, actually, the game kind of tweaked out on me. That's a spot we're going to be covering in just a second. It's a really good spot for rare items, and we'll go over that in detail. But coming into some of these houses are actually ruined, and you can't really go in them. For the most part, most of these ruined houses, they don't have any loot in them that I've seen. But coming up here on this fence, we have the marked circle, and I cannot stress enough that the loot inside this marked circle can spawn outside of the circle itself. So you really have to look around and try to find the loot. I've found a handful of items that have been stuck and clipped in the ground, and it's a really good way to make money because most people just overlook it. Moving into the next house across the street, we'll have a ration spawn on the bed, and now we're going to be making our way over to the church that is sunken inside the water. Now, you have to follow this little path. You can barely see it, but you're going to have to jump onto it. If you can't jump yet, just turn sideways and jump from the side. That'll usually get you over. But here we have a bunch of rare spawns. Only a horse spawn for me this time, which was pretty unlucky. But I found gold chains all the way from roosters to lions, Rolexes. There's just the loot pool there is pretty strong, and surprisingly enough, people really don't know about this location, so make sure you guys check that out, because most of the time it's actually untouched. Moving into the building that's almost right next to the church, this building has a rare spawn in it inside the tent here, and you also got a duffel bag to your left. Really, that's pretty much the brunt of the Sunken Village in general. There's really not much else. There's a couple more spots I want to show you that are kind of hidden spots in a way. And we'll be checking out this shack here. This shack here has a fuel spawn behind the static fuel that you can't loot. Moving on into the building right next to it, we have a bunch of ammo spawns here. This is a really good way to get BS and BT early game if you can't afford it or buy it yet. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Sunken Village. It's a really good spot to get a bunch of different loot. Make sure you guys check it out, especially if the raid's late. Some people overlook things. And yeah, we're going to be moving on. Moving on to another one of my favorite spots is the actually non-sunken village. A lot of these buildings towards the end of the village are not lootable, so you're really going to be looking towards the middle of the village. This is a haven for ration spawns. Some of these buildings, like I'm about to show you, can't actually go in, but 90% of them you can. There's a lot of really good mechanical spawns and tool spawns here. Like you can see, there's toolbox, and there's also spawns like bulbs. Like I said, are really rare early game, early wipe. They're nice to have. And going inside of these other buildings, we're gonna have our ration spawns, like I said. Make sure you guys, when you go into this building specifically, you open the door and loot the items inside of these rooms, because I don't know why, but people overlook that door. As you guys can see, we have a duffel bag, and jumping over this, we have another duffel bag and ration spawns, and there is a rare spawn on this bed. I've gotten it a handful of times. It's a good way to find rare spawns. Moving out into the front yard, we have a blue crate here that has a rare spawn and a grenade box, and we're just going to be moving down the village a little bit farther. This building has a bunch of mechanical spawns in it. We're going to be seeing a toolbox and a couple of locations where items can spawn on crates. Moving into the building, we have a couple more ration spawns and a duffel bag. Like I said, guys, this is a really good spot for your Jaeger quests. This is actually where I got most of my lunch boxes. out of the way. Moving into the second story, there's really not much loot here. I don't really know if there's anything that can spawn on the beds. I haven't personally seen anything, but you'd have to double check just in case, because I could be missing something. I could be missing quite a bit, but I'm just trying to give you guys the most general rundown of the expansion. Moving outside, we have a weapons box, and we have another toolbox coming up. And to the room to our left, I've seen hoses spawn here, which is really, really detrimental in early game. Moving across to the other side of the village, we're going to be having a house and a little barn shack out to the left. Moving in here, we have a lot of really, really good mechanical spawns and tool spawns. In this, I actually find a gas analyzer, some gunpowder, just some really good generic base loot that you're going to be needing for your hideout and future quests. We got another toolbox spawn, and that's really about it for this building. It's a good little spot to loot if it isn't already looted, because it's a pretty hot spot, Village is. Moving into this house, we're going to have more ration spawns, sugar. Sugar is very, very widespread in this village, I've come to find. Moving out into the back of the house, we have a rare spawn on the bed, but I didn't get it there, and we have a duffel bag. And I apologize for the clips sometimes freezing up. This is new settings on OBS, so you're going to have to deal with me here. We have a duffel bag up on the second floor, and that's pretty much about it for this house. We're going to be moving out into the little shack outside. Inside this shack, we actually have a couple of really good tools and mechanical spawns. You're going to be finding them in the second room inside of this little shack. We're going to also have a toolbox here. That pretty much sums it up for Village. We're going to be moving on now to the military camp, and I will see you guys there. So we're here at the military camp. It is just right above the village, and we're going to be looting a building that is kind of away from the main loot pool of this area. Here we can see a tank, and right below the tank is a weapon crate. Now moving away from the tank, right behind it is another little trailer. We're going to be going in here and seeing a couple of good spawns. This building is typically overlooked. On the bed, and there's a toolbox. On the bed, like I said, there is a rare spawn. It's not a insanely good rare spawn, but it's still there. Now we're going to be moving into the barn section. We have a couple tool spawns on these shelves. Inside this blue crate, I've seen screwdrivers and stuff like that spawn. And on the crate, or the racks to our right, we can see quite a bit of mechanical spawns. We also have a technical supply crate here, which is really, really good for finding your early game hideout stuff. We actually end up finding a battery in here, which is really, really, really good, especially in the flea market right now. I believe the inflation's gone all the way up to 250k. Moving up to the second story, on this table there are a lot of weapon spawns, or not weapon spawns, weapon part spawns there, so it's a good place to check out if you want to make some quick cash off some suppressors and whatnot. Moving on to the other side of the second story, we're going to have another ration supply crate, and right next to it we have a table here that actually can spawn military items. So you have your relays, you have, your batteries, whatnot. Another weapon box here. Yeah, and that pretty much sums up barn for you guys. We're going to be moving on to the server room. Moving on to the server room, we have a ton of military spawns that can occur here. On this table, we can have some weapon items here that can spawn. And we have a weapon box, and that's pretty much about it for here. Don't forget about the toolbox. Toolboxes are pretty good in early wipe, so make sure you guys are looking out for them. Almost every piece of loot early wipe is worth at least something. Moving out into this last trailer that will finish up military camp is a duffel bag, and I will see you guys over at Sniper Rock. For those of you who don't already know, there are two main areas you need to be looking out for on Sniper Rock. I'm only going to be showing you the two because the other ones I just really don't think are worth the risk. Sniper Rock is a pretty high populated area, especially early raid. You have a lot of people going up there, and I myself have experienced a lot of hardships going up here by myself. So coming up on Sniper Rock, we're going to be having a bunker here. This actually has a marked location inside of it. I know it's dark. I didn't bring a flashlight like the idiot I am. But there are rare spawns in this area, so make sure you guys check this out. If you guys still need to get your Christmas tree, be looking out for the ornaments, because I've seen like 3 spawn at one time, which was nuts. I mean, they were all the same ones, but you should still be looking out for this little marked circle. So moving directly across from the bunker, we have a little hideout camp. We have a rare spawn that can spawn here, ornaments, whatnot, lions, roosters. Like I said, just a generic rare spawn. This one's kind of hidden. Make sure you do not fall into the little crevice below that little hideout camp. Otherwise, you'll have to jump and you'll break your legs. It's just not fun. So yeah, guys, that pretty much sums up my ultimate loot guide and the woods expansion. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know things that I could have done better in this loot guide. This is the first time I've ever done this on Escape from Tarkov. And real quick, I'd just like to say thank you for the support that I've seen on the channel recently. It's really encouraging and really motivating to keep putting out content. I just really appreciate it. But yeah, like I said, a wood stash guide will be put out in the near future because I know really not many people have done a new expansion of the stashes for 12.9. So I'm gonna put that out probably later this week. But with that, guys, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing. It always helps out the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.